All right. Welcome, everyone. This is The Weekly with the Writer and the Wit, and I'm Brandy Ford. And with me today is my special guest, comedian Kris McArthur. How are you doing today, Kris?
I'm doing good, Brandy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm great. Thank you. So this is the first episode, I guess you'd say, of The Weekly. And so just a heads up, Kris is my friend. So this is going to be hard to do an actual interview with him because he's going to be making me laugh the whole time. So, but that's a good thing as a comedian, I guess. What I wanted to do was put together a little segment where I can give some commentary on the events or shows that I get out to during the week, share some of the pictures, videos, and talk about whatever I'm doing. So it's kind of a work in progress, and I'll probably evolve it each week depending on how it goes and perfect it a bit. But basically, it's a focus on what happened during the week. So I asked you, Kris, to talk with me this week because actually all of the events I went to this week, either you participated in them or you were at them this week. So before we get into all that, though, I mentioned you're a comedian. And what's cool about that is you and I both kind of started in this scene around the same time because you're still
Yeah,
fairly new.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm about 7 months in at this point.
yeah, yeah. So basically, I'm not a comedian. I started following them. You were just up and coming. I remember the first time I saw you was at Showtime, I think.
Yep,
Um,
Showtime when Mark Matthews headline.
yeah, yeah, and that was May. So yeah, and so yeah. So and what's interesting about that too is that you've been working so hard, and in fact, a lot of the time people forget that you are actually still fairly new to the field. So
Yeah, I find a lot of the times when I get called up on stage, they don't really ask me how long I've been doing it. They just assume I've been doing it for over a year.
yeah,
So they'll give me an introduction where they make me seem like a professional, and then which is it sucks
but you
sometimes
are.
because well, like they kind of build me up, and then it's like, oh, now I gotta fulfill that expectation. I hope I don't bomb this set.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, that the reason I think they think that is because when you're on stage, you're a natural, right? You're so confident. It's kind of like you have the Kris McArthur swagger on
There you go.
stage there. Yeah. So yeah, and it's not even been a year and you've already had some milestones. How's it been so far for you? Um
Just the whole thing since I started.
yeah, yeah, kind of just give me a little, how does it feel like? First of all, why did you start it? Have you been thinking about doing comedy for a while?
Well, so like comedy has always just been like around in my life. Like I've just always been a big fan of it and just
Mhm.
kind of followed it in some way. Well, the first thing I said I ever wanted to be when I was young was a comedian because I
Oh,
saw
really?
Jim Carrey. Yeah, I was a big fan of Jim Carrey, like his movies. And then I remember like seeing him do stand up, and that was what my idea of stand up was just being goofy and trying to make people laugh. And yeah, that was the first thing I ever said I wanted to be was a comedian. I mean, then I said I wanted to be a bunch of other things as I grew up. But yeah, I don't know. I went to college, started a new career, had my first job, realized it wasn't really for me, and then I went through a bunch of like life changing events at that time, and I was just kind of like, yeah, screw it, I'm gonna give it a shot. Like I feel like I kind of get it,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm gonna try it. Just and then I ended up like being pretty decent at it, considering I just started, and now it's like something I want to try to make a career out of if I'm able to.
That's cool. A lot of people don't take that kind of leap because any kind of arts kind of industry, like writing, comedy, any of these acting, any of these kind of things, it's you have to really work hard. It doesn't come easy. You don't get the breaks. You can't just go out there and get jobs that easy. So that you're doing
Yeah,
it is pretty remarkable.
yeah, it's definitely like it's feasible if like you look at it practically. Like it's almost kind of like you have to learn how the industry works and just kind of how to navigate it and what skills you got to learn, whether it's business skills or marketing or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely attainable if you're willing to learn those things and put in the work for it. It's basically you get out of it what you put into it, which
Yeah.
is something that I like about it.
Yeah, the more you work, the more you're out there. You're out there finding shows all the time, promoting yourself, trying to get on everything that you can, talking to people. So I think that's a lot why I think a lot of people assume that you've been in it a lot longer than you have been as well, because you're really out there trying to find out who the people are and getting to know people and getting involved in everything that you can. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, I think a big thing that helped me out too was like before I started, I wanted to make sure that like I kind of understood what I was doing in terms of like writing jokes. So I definitely like did my homework on the fundamentals of it
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like how a joke is structured and kind of how people respond to certain things. So I think that definitely helped me kind of like hit the ground running when I started doing comedy.
Okay. And actually, did you hit up any shows before you actually went on stage for a bit?
Oh yeah. I think the first show I went to check out, I want to say was Taps.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there one night. I'm trying to think of who was on that show. I think David Green was on the show. Um, KD, I think, was up there. It was my first time seeing these people, right, that are now like my peers.
And I know it's weird
Um,
that you know them. Like if you look back and you're like, wow, I know those people now, right? So it's kind of
oh
surreal.
yeah, yeah, especially like I mean like there were well before I started doing comedy, like I kind of wanted to like get like a feel for the scene. So the very first thing I did was I actually went on YouTube and I searched up Toronto comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see like there were certain people that kind of stood out and had content like on YouTube, and they would pop up, and they kind of became like kind of local celebrities to me, like the way I perceived it,
Yeah.
watching their
Yeah.
videos. And then a couple of them I've done shows with now, so it's like, oh, it's so weird that like now I'm a part of this thing, and like I know these people, on like a first name basis and all this other stuff. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And what's cool is that you're probably a celebrity to someone right now and you don't even know it. Yeah. Kris McArthur. Kris McArthur. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know it. Oh, it's Kris McArthur coming.
he's
um,
got, he's got such a cool car.
he does have a cool car. Kris McArthur. um, yeah, actually, so you mentioned tap, so that's kind of a good segue into kind of going into like the what's happened during the week. So the first show I went out to this week you were at, and it was Taps.
Hi, I'm Levi Mann. I host and produce a comedy show called Taps, Apps, and Laughs every Tuesday at Taps Brewhouse in Niagara Falls. This week, we featured comedians Jesse Ralph, Ronald Hay, Mike Mitchell, Kelly Cry, Brandon Zakai, and Dan Brennan, with our headliner, KD. Come see us every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Yeah, so when you go to Taps, Apps, and Laughs, you can go and it's the show starts and you get half price apps all for the duration of the show, and the food portions are huge. Like I've seen them. Like it's amazing. Always looks so good.
Yeah,
And then
I would say Taps is like my favorite place in the falls to do comedy,
okay.
because
Why
there's
is
just
that?
something about like the way it's set up. It's kind of got like the mood for it. Like I like the fact that it's got a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like the high ceilings, kind of. There's like a lot of room for people to sit down. It's got a really good sound system, which I really like. I notice every time I'm doing taps and I'm talking to the microphone, I can hear myself clearly, and then it kind of like, I don't know, it gives you like a confidence being able to hear your voice so clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, I
There's
like
just something about it, but yeah, like it's that. Levi's like an awesome host. Like Levi really pumps people up.
mm-hmm.
Like every time I go up there, right before I get to the mic, he gives you a hug or gives you a fist bump or whatever, and he'll always say something that just kind of locks you in to what you're about to do. I remember the first time I ever did taps, and he said my name. I came up on stage, and he shook my hand, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, have fun." And I'll never forget him saying that to me for the first time, because as soon as he said it, it was like all of the like anxiety just
Mm-hmm.
kind of melted away, and I did pretty good. I did pretty good that night because I was so calm after that.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was able to let you know, like go up there, have fun. That's what you're there for, right? To kind of let go of that anxiety and go up
yeah,
there. Just have fun. Yeah, the food is great there. And oh, it's $5 pints too on Taps Night, right? Taps Apps.
yeah. These $5 pints, half off appetizers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, it's really good if you want to have like a cheap night out,
Yeah.
because like the comedy is free and then like the food is super cheap. So it's like it's definitely like a perfect place for locals. Like there's so many locals that come in to the show every Tuesday to check it out.
Yeah. And this week, headliner was Katie.
Yeah.
So I was there for that, and she did awesome as she always does.
The first person was Kelly Cry.
Mhm.
I mean, he's pretty prominent around the scene. He does a lot
Yeah.
of shows, but it was his first time doing taps in particular. But I think everybody did pretty well.
Okay, perfect. All right, and that is so taps and apps and laughs is every week, Tuesdays, hosted again by Levi Mann. So you can go and check that out this Tuesday for sure. And then so the next show was the next day, which was Killer Die.
Hi, I'm Joel Van Vliet. Every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, I put on a show at Camp Cataract in Niagara Falls called Kill or Die with Joel Van Vliet. I'm the host, Joel Van Vliet. This last week, we had TJ Rivers, Matt Davis, Muck Akrat, Dinah Althorpe, Mark Andrews, Taylor Grant, Ali Moore, and the incomparable Kris McArthur. Every week, comedians come out and they do brand new material that no one's ever heard before. I just want to say thank you to you, Brandy, from The Writer and The Wit, for coming out this last week and just constantly supporting the show. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
That was a special night for you. Was it not, Kris McArthur?
I mean, I feel like it was just kind of a normal night. I'm not sure if I would say I headlined, because nobody actually said the words headliner to me. It was all right. It was all right.
Isn't that what you guys call it when you guys are the last person after everybody goes? Isn't that the headliner? Isn't that technically how it works? You were the last one.
I mean, I personally looked at it as I just went last. That's just kind of how I looked at it.
You would though. You get in your head.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everything, so it's like a environment you can come, you can eat, you can watch the show. It has a unique stage itself, with the way the different kind of props and everything that they have there. So it's very unique setting as well. Yeah, and the Killer Die, I believe, is like twice a month, hosted by Joel there.
Yeah, it's twice a month, and the theme of it is it has to be all new jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good show for like trying out new stuff. Because I mean, any show you can try out new stuff, but when it comes to Kill or Die, people come in there with the knowledge and the expectation that it's going to be all new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's not as much, I guess, like pressure when it comes to throwing out something new and seeing how people respond to it.
Yeah, yeah. So like, because you'll hear it like the comedians will be, oh, well, that doesn't work, or okay, I'll make a note of this or something like that. So it's kind of pretty relaxed.
Yeah, it's a little bit looser, I find.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit looser. You can be a little more like informal, I guess you would say.
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah, it's definitely my favorite place. Like I've gotten into the habit of like 90% of the time that I'm doing new stuff for the first time, I'll do it at Killer Die.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You get a lot of support there too from the comedians, and like I noticed, like people will come up to other comedians afterwards and they'll kind of give them suggestions and something on how to make a joke work a bit better, or an idea for a joke and stuff like that too. So that's kind of cool. It's a fantastic show. I was laughing so hard, like several times. I actually I had to hold my stomach. Like I thought I was in pain. I was laughing so hard. Yeah,
when Joel did his like Italian opera bit with the Nutella.
Yeah, that was that's dying, because the thing with that is like, so one thing you have like the whole opera thing, and then he's not saying a word kind of thing, and his expressions on his face, like half the time, even when he's just in between hosting, he'll get an expression on his face, and that's what gets me going. And then I lose it. And then if I look at anybody else who happens to be laughing, like there's a few audience members that are regulars, like this week, every time I looked at Emily, Kris McArthur's girlfriend. I couldn't look at her because every time I looked at her, I just couldn't keep it in, trying to keep my composure. But I love it
It's
though.
like contagious laughter.
Yeah. I love it when it's like that. And that was kind of like the whole vibe of the night. So I love it when there's a night like that where everybody's in the room. Everybody was kind of in close together, like watching the show and everything. So when you have that kind of atmosphere, it's really great. It makes a good night. So the laugh just kept going. And then Taylor got up there after Joel. He was right out. Oh yeah, because he's like, how am I supposed to follow that? And that was hilarious because then he had that whole thing about the running and making fun of everybody else who had already been up there. So yeah.
Yeah, he killed that night.
Yeah, he was
murdered that night.
Yeah, I think everybody had a really good night too. And there was a couple new people there as well. Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was a good night. It was a good fun night. Like, so that's what I like about Killer Night too, because there's always Joel will always have a new song for you. So like there's always a new song, and they're always pretty epic. I needed to get on the floor to get some good shots, so it was just like I was just like dying literally on the floor there. Like I couldn't. It was amazing. Like it really, I think everybody had a really exceptional night that night. Okay, so then the next night, it was Thursday, right? We went to Hamilton.
Yes, yeah.
You knew it was funny, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. At Yield Square in Hamilton.
Blair Brown and I had another great and funny show last week on November the 10th at the Ye Old Squire. Ye Knew It Was Funny. Featured were my friends Amy Sloan and KD, as well as Kris McArthur, Manny Mangat, Greg Dabrowski, Lauren Steffen, and as our headliner, Nathan Texera jumped in to fill the role. Our next show is going to be December the 8th. You know it's going to be funny. See you there.
That was a pretty good show too. There was a couple people that Katie was up there, so that's one of our Niagara people was up there. And there was a couple people that I had seen before. But there was a lot that I hadn't before. So it was like a good mixture for me to be able to have some new people, to meet some new people, take some pictures of some new people. That was the second time that I've been there. I went to a show a couple months ago. I had some good cauliflower wings there too. Just talk about the food a bit there. It's kind of a nice setup there too, and a nice environment. What's your take of it as a comedian?
Well, like anytime I do like one of Blair's shows, it's always great because like Blair really like tries to take care of the comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Like he tries to make sure that like you're going home with some kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
You get like the perks, like you get free drinks, free food, stuff like that. So it's nice that you feel like a little bit appreciated when you do the show.
Yeah.
It's like a nice like little spot, like how they have that whole back room to just do the whole show. It was a really good turnout too on Thursday night.
Yeah, it was.
First time I did it, I think there was only like a couple tables of people, but this time it was almost like a full room.
And it was a good crowd too. Yeah, there was like a lot of like they were paying attention too. That's what I like about a crowd. Like they're paying attention to the audience, to the comedians and everything as well. And
the crowd definitely seemed to like be like into the show and like wanted to like enjoy the show too, which was really cool. Yeah.
That's always a good vibe when you can get that kind of crowd like that. And it's hosted by Blair Brown and Heather Fudge. I don't know if I mentioned that. So so there was a comic from Toronto too that came in from Toronto, I believe.
I want to say, was it Manny?
Yes.
Manny?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because he came in. I remember he had, because I remember looking at him thinking he kind of looks like Drake, and then he actually opened with like saying something about along the lines of being a discount Drake. So it was kind of funny. It was
Nathan from Waterloo. He says from Waterloo.
I'm not quite sure.
the headliner. I'm not sure how to
Yeah.
pronounce his last name. Starts with a T, but yeah, Nathan T.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on a couple shows with him, but that was my first time getting a chance to talk to him. He's a really cool guy. Yeah, he actually had a lot of good advice too.
He's a really nice guy as well. Yeah. Yeah, there was kind of like a little bit afterwards, a little bit of I have this thing I call comedians in circles, because always when a show is over, it's always so interesting for me. I love it, like doing some behind the scenes pictures, because the comedians, they all kind of gather together and talk comedy and talk, like, I think it's really cool. So I try to take some pictures behind the scenes of that. So there was a bit of that outside before we left. So that was Thursday. And then we saw each other again on Friday.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kelly Cry from the Rose City Comedy Collective. Check out these awesome comedians. Look, there's Kris McArthur, Dustin Hopfner, and Paul Fedge. Whoa, wait, is that me hosting the show? Whoa! Come on through any Friday night at 9 p.m. at Rose City Comedy Collective and check the mic out. You can watch, you can get up on stage, you can just hang out. We'd love to have you. Peace.
You had mentioned you were going to head out to the Rose City Collective, Comedy Collective, walk-in. They have an improv and a open mic night on Fridays in Welland. So I went with you with the intentions of taking some pictures. The first thing was the improv on the Friday night, and then it turns into an open mic. So I went in there with you, full intention with my camera to take some pictures.
And you got sucked in.
Yes.
Sucked into participating.
Yeah. So this is hosted and put on by Kelly Cry. And yes, I did not have the chance to take pictures because I actually had to participate. So that was, I know we kind of went in there together, like those kids when they start school and like, sit beside me, and like you try to make sure you get the desk beside your friend.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. Yeah,
we're like beside each other, and then he's like, okay, at one point he's like, you two need to separate because you had to go on the other side, because we're like standing there awkwardly beside each other. No. But yeah, it was kind of out of my comfort zone. At least you kind of go up on a stage, so you have some of that. I do not do any of that. I write. So I'm more isolated in what I do. But yeah, so how was it? But improv is different than going up there with your joke. So how was that experience for you walking in? Were you just as awkward as I was?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm super awkward as it is, and then like never mind like having to act out something on the fly.
Yeah, in front of people you don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was horrifying for me.
Yeah, me too. I was in there and I was like, I kept trying to find a way that I could get out of it. It's like, maybe if I just move over this way and then just grab my camera, but no, Kelly was on us. There was no escaping when we were there. But it wasn't like he was like mean about it or pushy. He was very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraging.
He's encouraging everybody to participate and get a chance to kind of like test their chops or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like setting up scenes and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, well, that's the whole point of going there, right? Is to get over that kind of awkwardness and kind of learn to be present and make decisions on the fly and just roll with it type of thing.
Exactly. And that was cool. Yeah, I did feel better by the end, a little bit more than I did when I first started, when we went in there. So I mean, just even so we started with a getting to know you kind of activity where we were in a circle and we had to kind of say our names going around and make up an action and everything like that. And even that was like freaking me out the first time. And I kept, because I thought, oh no, for some reason I thought he's going to test us on everybody's name. So I'm trying to remember everybody's name, make up a little rhyme in my head so I could remember everybody's name. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Right after that, there was an open mic. There's 4 of you there. telling jokes to, what was it, 4 people on a couch at one point. You were like, how awkward it was because
Four
there's a
people
couch.
on a couch who aren't laughing.
Yeah, because they were sitting there like at the friend's couch, so it's and all squished in together too, just staring at you. But
Yeah, that was brutal. That was brutal for me. Especially my kind of jokes. My kind of jokes they work better with a crowd.
yeah, I was gonna say because yours are a lot of yours are dirty, and yeah, so it's kind of a little. I imagine, I don't know, but a little more awkward when you're like in a quiet room with 4 people just like kind of intently staring at you.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went. Yeah, I think the only person laughing was Kelly, laughing at how bad I was doing.
How awkward you were.
which made it a little bit funny.
Yeah,
that kind of took the brunt off it for me.
Yeah, but you kept going, so like, I mean, but I guess you're up there. What are you gonna do, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I find it like, excuse me, sorry. I kind of get entertained sometimes when people aren't laughing. Like when I did the Squire show, there was a guy. He was like the guy sitting closest to the mic at one of the tables on the left, and I would tell a joke and I would look over. Some people would be laughing. I look over at him, and he's just like, no emotion on his face. Just he's got a look like he kind of had a look on his face like, what are you talking about, dude? It makes me want to laugh.
I know.
The fact that this guy doesn't think I'm funny.
Oh God, those kind of people. But then it's like, are they enjoying themselves? You know, I think in my head, are they secretly laughing inside their head? They just don't want anybody to know. Are they so shy they don't want to laugh or something? Or are they legitimately just sitting there thinking, what the fuck's going on? You know what I mean? Who is this guy? Kris McArthur.
Yeah, like this guy is messed up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much for doing this. And yeah, and everybody, what do you have to plug? Where can people find you? Where can people follow you?
Oh yeah. Promo again.
I know.
My Instagram is so Kris, that's with a K, so KRIS _ McArthur, MCARTHUR _ comedy. I'm trying to post more.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get better at promos so I can tell people what shows I'm going to be at, stuff like that. But yeah, if you want to check out my Instagram, I have some stuff on there.
Perfect. Yeah. And they can also check out my Instagram, The Writer and the Wit. And that's where everybody can go to follow me and see what's going on in the comedy scene. And also Brandy _writes is my other Instagram that you can follow. Because I do write about other things other than comedians, even though I guess I'm sort of a comedian groupie at this point. I do like coming out to the shows. I think it's kind of where I'm supposed to be. I enjoy it. I enjoy the people. And again, the website is thewriterandthewit.ca, and put those up with this promo. But once again, thank you very much for talking to me, Kris McArthur.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate
All right. All right. Bye, everybody. Okay, we're done. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hope that doesn't sound awkward.